Hey everybody, my name is Sharon Quinn. I'm also known as the original Runway Diva, and you are watching Model Behavior. Today, my guest lecturer is a highly sought-after professional makeup artist and runway coach. His name is Timotheus Smart. Ladies and gentlemen, class is officially in session. Welcome to Model Behavior. Tim, how you doing today?
I'm good.
All right, so we're going to jump right into it. You know, this show is to teach those that are coming up behind us. So I want to know, I guess my first question for you would be, how did you get your start in makeup? How did you know that that was your calling?
It actually started when I wanted to see what was my options outside of runway, because I realized that, you know, my height would be a factor, and you know, I live in a realistic world.
Okay.
Where I know what time it is, and I do understand that there's some barriers that, you know, would take a longer time to break. So I knew that my height would be an issue. So I had to find a different way to stay relevant and a part of this industry. So I spoke to my mentor, the late Angel Claudio, and I told him exactly what I wanted to do. And I said, is there any way that you could help me with this? And of course he did. And he set me up with a makeup artist who basically took me from A to Z in one day. And it was a lot. I mean, handshaking, the whole nine. I mean, it was really intense, but I said, you know what, if this is something I don't really want to do, and I want to be good at it, because see, there's lots of makeup artists out here. Excuse me. There's a lot of makeup people. There's lots of makeup people.
Okay.
There's not too many makeup artists where it's such a passion for them. Like, if Instagram didn't exist, would you still be an artist? And that's something for me that has, because I was an artist before Instagram. Instagram didn't give me fame. What it did for me was just extend my base, but it didn't enhance my skill in any way, shape, or form. But it's the passion, and I'm lucky that I've been able to do this since 2001.
Now you started off as you wanted a career in modeling?
So I started out with runway, and I think everybody's dream is to hit the back of the runway. However, when you look at it from a business standpoint, runway models make the least amount of money. So if you think about it, that should be the last thing that you want to do. But it was something that I wanted to do, and I was a ham since the age of 5. Singing in church choir, well, I need to be in front. You know, that's basically what it was. But I got that bug. I did my first fashion show in the 3rd grade in PS14 in Jersey City, New Jersey. And from there, I heard the roar of that crowd, and I was hooked.
Yeah, it's all about the hype and fanfare and runway.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Once you get a taste, that's
absolutely
gonna be it.
You're stuck, and I just continued to do that, and I was fortunate enough to win quite a few runway competitions in my heyday. Those days are long gone.
You sound like me.
But no, not for you.
Oh yes.
For me, absolutely, but for you, absolutely not. You were actually one of the people that I looked up to, because I was coming in to do the John Blassingame Model of the Year competition, which at that time, it was very difficult to get in and definitely hard to win.
Yeah.
And especially if you did it for the first time, it's basically, this is just an experience. And I was able to come in, and I won my first time out, and I'm so grateful that I did, because you know, it was a lot of competition. It was tons of it, but at the end of the day, what was meant for me happened for me, and it just took off from there.
So now, at what point did you decide that you didn't want to model anymore? What was it that made you decide, I'm going to go in another direction?
When I took the trip to Paris, which was a part of the prize.
Right.
I didn't go down there to meet any agencies, because I live in a realistic world. I knew what time it was. So I went down there and enjoyed myself, but what I did do is I went to the Louvre. And when I went to the Louvre, my mind opened so completely wide open. It was different. It was completely different, and I'm like, I've only seen the Mona Lisa in books, but for me to be this close to see the Statue of David and the Last Supper and all of these things that I've only seen in books, I'm like, there has to be somewhere I can incorporate what I'm feeling here once I get back to the States. And that's exactly how the makeup thing started right then and there. And I'm like, I feel like I can teach this. I don't have to do it, but I can teach other people to do it. And it's worked in my benefit. I consider myself to be a real runway trainer, because there aren't lots of those either. But what I did want to do, no, I mean, I'm just being very realistic about it, because you
you're right.
have these trainers that charge these people like arms and legs, you know, to teach them something that they don't even know how to do. So I've always found that very interesting. If you don't know how to plug in a light socket, then how can you show me how to? Like, it doesn't make sense. And I've seen that, so I've always tried to step in and stop that when it came to models telling me, oh, well, I was trained by such and such, and I'm like, okay, and who's that? And then when you do research, my search engine goes back really far, and I still don't see anything.
Come on.
So if there is no record of anything that this person has done, I'm not going to make you I'm not going to be their guinea pig.
Right,
You get what
right.
I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So I just don't believe in that. So I take runway training very seriously. It is a passion of mine. It does run neck and neck with makeup for me, because that's something that I started out with. And that, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Let me ask you, because I have senior moments, so I gotta roll with it when it comes to me. What would you say, or how important for a model is it to learn runway, even if you're a print model?
Movement. You need to know how to move when you get on a runway. Sometimes, and it's very strange, I've watched some runway girls try to transition into print, and it's very hard for them, but it's like a lot easier for the print girls to transcend into runway.
Why do you think that is?
I think because the print girls are so used to being fluid in photo shoots and having to do whatever they need to do at a drop of a dime. And runway girls is basically back, forward. There you go. And that, to me, that's a problem, because when you stop at the end of the runway and you get this great photo opportunity, most of them look like they're deer caught in headlights. So I'm like, wow. So I feel like these print girls actually do set the bar. And
Because you're accustomed to getting that money shot.
absolutely.
Okay.
And the runway girls, they're so focused on selling the garment. They don't indirectly sell themselves, which they should be doing.
So it's a combination of the two, because we know that that's what you're there for, ultimately, is to sell the garment.
Absolutely.
But you need to be able to sell yourself as well. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I believe that, I know it's such a cliche, but I feel like Naomi Campbell is like a queen when it comes to that. She can sell the garment, but she still sells you Naomi Campbell when she's out there. Like, you know it's her.
Right.
And she's going to do justice to this Versace gown, but at the same time, she's going to get booked for the next Versace show too. And that's how some models need to think. And it's a shame that, a woman that has lived and is now, I believe Naomi is about 43, and she put these 18-year-old girls to shame.
Still, to this day.
Absolutely. I mean, and to me, that shows a person that is about their craft. It's not about, oh, well, someone said that I was cute or thought that I should model. No, it needs to be something that you want to do. And if you put you first in this situation, I think that is the key to success. When you have so many people pushing you, but you're not pushing you, I feel like that's a huge problem. And that's a red flag for me to not work with you. Because if I'm hearing from the manager, the agent, the publicist, but I don't hear anything from you, we have a problem.
Okay, so let's talk about the Living Dolls project. I found out about that through Malaysia. I didn't really know about that.
Okay.
So why don't you just expound on that and tell us what that's about?
That's like my baby. That's why I bust out with this huge grin, because it is something that I wanted to do for a while, but I didn't know exactly how to put all the pieces together. And if you think about the late, great Hal Jackson, who used to put together the Hal Jackson Talented Teen pageants, and the John Blasingame Model of the Year competition, and the genius of Gwen DeVoe with Full Figure Fashion Week. If you take all those things and combine them together, you have the Living Dolls project.
Okay.
Because I took from people that I admire and that I've watched, because I'm a great student. I love to study to see exactly what works and what doesn't work. And of course, sometimes it's hit or miss, but I'm just grateful that it has hit. What I wanted to do was take a bunch of inner city kids that had some talent, maybe didn't know that they had talent, or was told that they didn't have it, and give them an opportunity and give them the training boot camp training, Joe Jackson training that they need in order to prepare for this business. I'm not trying to prepare you for the Chitlin circuit, because that's not where I live at, nor do I want you to set up residency there either.
All right.
So if I want you to get to the next, then that means that I need to really invest in what you want to do. And for me, I don't apologize for trying to make you great. So if you shed a tear in rehearsal or your feet hurt, okay, great.
It's part of the business,
It's a part
baby.
of the process. So we're going to get up and we're going to try this again, but we can do it without the waterworks.
Okay.
And I have no problem saying that. And I always tell them in the beginning, you will hate me in the middle of all of this, but in the end, you will love me, because all I'm going to do is try to prepare you for greatness, and I don't apologize for that.
Okay.
And the Living Dolls Project is not just a fashion show, but I consider it more of a movement, because I make my models do community service. And that's something that I've never heard of that in other shows before, but because I want them to understand you're here and your being here is a blessing. Because I'm here charging you $0, and I'm doing this is because something that I love to do, and I feel like you need to appreciate that. So if I show you the other side of this coin, I think maybe then you'll really appreciate what's being presented to you. So the kids that I work with, not just kids, but the young and the young at heart, they volunteer at the York Street Project, which is a women's shelter. We actually did a hat and gloves drive for the winter. We're actually preparing to do something for Easter Sunday as well. I don't allow them to just sit back and say, oh, well, Mr. Smart taught me. No, I want Mr. Smart to teach you something other than just Runway, because I feel like we are in an industry that honestly at times can be very racist.
Yes.
And you have to have that tough skin. So I prepare you for that in every way, shape, and form, and for you to be grateful for the opportunities that are presented to you. So I have mentors that I have that kind of step in for me. And I have about 7. Right now, they're all females, and these are women that have a story. I don't need a mentor that comes to rehearsal with this air and some shades and a fur. I need you to have a story so that any situation that came to you, and trust me, there are lots of them that come to you, and they have tons of things behind them, but you need them to produce. And in order for you to produce, that means that I need to be able to touch inside here, and I can relate to you. And I think that's the thing that makes the Living Dolls Project so different from anything else. And the main reason why the Living Dolls Project started was because I was going to look for a doll for my goddaughter for her birthday. And my goddaughter is African American, and I wanted her to have an African American Barbie, and I could not find one. And the first store that I went to told me that they only come out around Christmas time. So her birthday is in March. So I said, so if I needed a doll in March, I couldn't get it. She said, you would have to wait until November. I said, but I'm spending my money now, so I would have to wait to have a doll that looks like my goddaughter in November. And she told me with a straight face, absolutely. And it infuriated me.
That is ridiculous.
And I had to go, and I live in Jersey City, New Jersey. I had to go to FAO Schwartz to find one, and they only had 3, and the boxes were like completely like tattered. And I wound up buying 2 of the 3 dolls that I saw there. And I thought that it was a sin and a shame that I had to go through all of that. And then when I did get it, what was presented to me. And that's what made me want to start the Living Dolls Project, is because I was infuriated by what I saw, and that the kids that I work with,
representation
oh my God, that's
to look
absolutely crazy that I had to go to those lengths to find a doll. So imagine the girls that see this and they go into the same toy stores that I would go into and don't see anything that looks like them. And I think that's absolutely crazy.
My goodness.
And that was the whole basis behind the Living Dolls Project, is because I needed to make a statement. I needed to make a huge statement, and that's what the Living Dolls Project is about. And this is my 2nd year doing it, and I fund everything myself. I don't ask anybody for 5 nickels. I do everything myself.
Now, how do you find your living dolls? How do they find you, or you find them?
I actually host auditions because I don't want them to think that anything comes easy. So I do host auditions, and I just have this thing of, I always say, well, you know, I'm going to have an audition. It doesn't mean that you're going to get in. It doesn't mean you aren't going to get in. But then you see these kids, and then they come to you with, oh, I know you. I know Diva Devana. I love her. I follow what you guys do. And I'm sitting there like, okay, trying to put the butter on me. I get it. But then you see the passion. Because I've always felt that potential without passion is nothing.
Yeah.
But when you
Absolutely.
put potential and passion together, you have a huge thing on your hands. And I love to see potential in people, but I love to see passion more than anything.
Is that what you saw in Diva Devana, who is, Mama is, she's major
Yeah.
now.
She walked Mercedes-Benz Fashion
See,
Week.
that's what I'm talking
Like
about.
that was crazy when she got that, when her mom got that phone call, her mother immediately called me. We were crying on the phone, and I'm like, this is what you work for. This is what you work towards. And in the show that she walked, she was the only African American girl. She was the opening of the show, and at 5'6", she was the shortest girl in the show.
Now, how old? Now I remember seeing her as a little girl doing some of your shows in Jersey. How old was she when you got her?
I got my hands on her.
Yeah.
I actually met Devana and her twin sister when they were 1.5.
Oh, she's a twin?
She has a twin sister.
Does the sister walk the runway too?
No, she's a rapper, and she's actually performing at Showtime at the Apollo in a few weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's just a little Jackson's family going on there with all the talent. But yeah, I met her at 1.5, but she didn't start walking the runway till about 4, and that's when I got my hands on her. And the rest is just.
Was she a natural? She had natural
No.
ability? No.
No.
So you had to teach her everything.
No, it was basically a lump of coal.
What?
And you have to press that together to make that a diamond. And that's what we had to do. And I had to do that for years. Like, it didn't happen overnight. Not at all.
But you saw something in her
I
that
saw
made you
something
stick
in her
to
that
it.
was so special. And I wanted her to understand that Mr. Timmy is going to be very hard on you because I see something in you. And there were plenty times where, you know, it got a little shaky. But when it really hit is when Tyra Banks called.
I remember that.
That was the phone call that changed that was the game changer right there, because it showed me, it showed her mom, and it showed her that this is not average and this is other. This is not this is not that, this is other. Because what you're doing at the age that you're doing it at is not average.
Yeah,
and
that's almost unheard of.
Absolutely. And for the amount of people that knew who she was at such a young age, I have to take my hat off to her mom, because having a good marketing team behind you when the team is your mother and me, and that's it, that really shows that the talent is really pushing through all of this, because there's no manufactured anything. This is what it is. So I'm just so grateful that Tyra saw that video. Her hairdresser, Oscar James, actually saw the video, told Tyra about this little girl. Tyra reached out to someone at a fashion show that Devana had just walked, and they called me saying that, oh, the Tyra Banks show is trying to get in contact with Devana's mother. Yeah.
You didn't believe it?
Yeah, right. Okay. And he's like, no, trust me. And so I immediately called her mom, and we got on three-way, and it was legit, and Tyra wanted her on the show. And right after that, Tyra invited her to come on to teach on Cycle 13 of America's Next Top Model.
I was just about to say, that girl was out walking as a child. She was out walking a lot of adult female
Absolutely.
models.
And I love Miss J, but Miss J got to run for her money on that episode. And I love Miss J, but when her and Devana walked out with the same garments on, I'm like, my attention went straight to her. And I have to thank Miss J, because when she was there, I didn't have the opportunity to go because I had to work. And it was just, I could not get out of working to be on set with her. And they went to LA, and I honestly have to say Miss J took so good care of Devana, making sure she had everything.
The child has presence, and you can't buy that.
Absolutely.
Okay?
They ain't let her talk, though. They knew that thing would have started crying. But I said, you put a beat on, and that's all you got to do. Put the music on. If you put the music on, that's when the magic happens. But if you sit there and try to have a conversation with her, then it would have been a whole different situation. And I'm sure everybody in America saw that. But now, at 15 years old is a completely
Is
different
she only 15?
15.
I feel like she's like an adult now.
15 in the 10th grade in high school.
And she's doing well in school?
Absolutely, because her mama don't play that.
I know that's right.
Yeah, her mama don't play that at all, because the day that those grades start slipping, all of this is done.
And that's how it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
But we ain't gonna get off topic. Now, do you see someone in your Living Dolls project that's maybe the next Diva Divana? Do you have any what is the word I'm looking for? Coming for the crown.
That is such a taboo for me.
Really?
And I'm gonna tell you why. Because I don't ever want you to be the next anybody.
Okay.
I want you to be the first you. And that's one of the reasons why I don't allow Divana to come to too many rehearsals, because I feel like when she does come, it becomes a circus. And I'm like, okay, that's not what she's here for. I want you guys to be comfortable in being you, because if a show producer has an opportunity to have her in the show and you trying to walk like her, who do you think that they're going to pick? You or her? They're going to take her. So I don't want you to do anything that she does. And I think at some young ages, it's very influential, because if you've seen this girl before, then clearly this is something that you want to emulate. And I try to keep her away. But then when there's times where I really do want her to come in and kind of teach them some things, because some things I feel like, some things in Runway, when you're teaching a woman, a man cannot teach.
Okay, that makes sense.
I just feel like there's some certain things in a way a woman sways that sometimes a man can't always teach those things. And I feel like if you had a woman that knows how to do that, it's more impactful at times.
Okay, all right. So give me some tips for the runway models that of today, which, you know, that's different from my time. They think they're changing the game. I don't really know if that's changed.
No.
I'm seeing a lot of.
It hasn't.
So what kind of advice would you give today's models? Aside from learn runway.
Absolutely. Pay attention a lot when you're at shows. Pay attention to instructors. Pay attention to, do your research. Do your research. You want to look at some high fashion couture fashion shows. You want to look at the John Galliano fashion shows, and you want to look at the Gianni Versace fashion shows from the early 90s. You want to see that type of impact that those models had on the runway, and I feel like it needs to be brought back, because sometimes what I call the sophisticated crackhead walk doesn't work. And
oh, I wish I had space so you could show me what the sophisticated crackhead walk is.
To me, and I see that a lot, because it's such attitude filled, but there's no confidence. It's attitude. And I feel like when you have confidence, it just exudes from you. It's so natural.
Yeah, it comes out
it's
your
not
pores.
rehearsed. It's just, it is what it is. It's very unbothered with all of these hundreds of people watching me. But when you have to put on an attitude, there's something that's not real there.
You know what I find at Full Figure Fashion Week? The hardest thing for most of the models to get is smile. And I have to tell them repeatedly, we smile at Full Figure Fashion Week, so we don't want angry model. And they're so accustomed to doing that the hardest thing to do is to get them to smile. And some of them smile, it's like, no, go back to the previous face, because you're scaring me now with your smile. But I get it. They get conditioned to what they think is fierce.
Absolutely.
And it's like, are you looking at yourself in the mirror because you look crazy?
No, and it's none of the above. None. It's none of those things. And I sometimes we have to deprogram people.
That's a good
We
word.
really have to. We have to deprogram them, because they'll get so stuck into, let's fall out, let's Vogue on the run. No. Because if you want to be booked for the next show, if you want an agency to grab you out of this entire lineup of people and say, you're the one that I was paying attention to, they're not going to pay attention to you when you're trying to be a clown. They'll pay attention to you when you're being the model, you're selling the garment. And I think that if they get those things stuck in their mind, those are the things that will make them a star.
And now, can you break that down? What is that? Because, you know, I see lots of different walks, and one that I teach 1 foot over the other. But that pony style that seems to be really popular on 7th Avenue, I don't really like that.
I think a good model needs to know how to turn it up for whatever situations and how to turn it down. They have to know how to reverse that dial if they need to. So a model should never say, well, I can't do. Because a real model will say, where do you need me to start? That's what it needs to be. So you need to practice all styles.
Okay.
So if they need you to, they give you this gigantic ball gown and they say turn from one end of the runway all the way to the other. You can't say, oh, I can't do it.
Or I don't know what that means.
Exactly. So when you do those things, that takes you out of the spotlight because that could be the pinnacle of this show and your opportunity. But because you have not done your homework, now you lose an opportunity.
Now, do you still runway coach outside of the Living Dolls project?
Absolutely not.
I was so not prepared for that. I thought you were going to say
Absolutely not.
Why?
Because I feel like when I'm with the Living Dolls project, I give them everything I have, but I have a life. And
Okay.
I mean, as much as I would want to do it more often, I have gigs, makeup and different things, and that doesn't always permit. And, you know, I would love to clone myself, you know, even though I feel like there's plenty of runway trainers that have tried to clone me. But I just feel like it takes a lot. It takes a lot out of you. And, you know, he's not no young whippersnapper no more. So, you know, he got to slow down a little bit. So when I get a little winded, I'll be like, Devonna, get up. Show her what to do. So I just want to be able to give them my all when I'm able to. But, you know, but when I need my time to live, that's what I need.
Okay. Now, the Living Dolls project, how often do they meet?
So once I have the audition, rehearsal start immediately.
You have an audition coming up?
No, I have a show coming up.
Oh, God. See, we got about a minute left. We're almost out of time.
But I can say the show is April 11th, 2015 at the Ukrainian, 90 Fleet Street in Jersey City, New Jersey, my hometown.
I'm going to put it on the website. All right, I'd like to thank my guest, Tim Smart, for sharing his industry knowledge with us today. Now, before I go, I'd like to leave you with a few thoughts. I want you to always remember that you can't change the game until you first learn the game. I want you to always surround yourself with positive people and positive things, and do what you love and love what you do. Until next time, my name is Sharon Quinn. I want to thank y'all for watching Model Behavior, and I will see y'all next week. Class is dismissed. Bye. Thank you.